The still is on fire. It's leaking diesel. So, I have not really taken the time to explain how this reactor works. I know I made videos on the past, but this reactor goes through so many upgrades and different renditions that pretty much completely change its operation. So, come with me and let's go over the basic breakdown of how this machine works. So first, let's start with this while I have it wide open. Currently, the shredder, the plastic shredder, is not in operation. I hope I can get a new one soon. I sharpened the blades, it still doesn't work. So we're loading in plastic through the front. Now these blades have been upgraded into rebar blades, so they're much thicker, they don't warp anymore. And they can go in reverse and in forward, and they're going to be in reverse to push the plastic to the back of the machine when it's loaded in through the front. The plastic is loaded into the machine, but that's not it. We then need to pull a vacuum on this machine. This is a vacuum microwave pyrolysis reactor. And being under vacuum has many advantages. Some of the best advantages are that, one, since the vapors are being pulled through and not just left to linger and sit inside the machine and build up pressure, there's a less likely chance of gaskets, in particularly the waveguide gaskets for the microwaves for them to rupture from plastic vapors, causing either pressure or to build up oils, which then form on the gaskets, and then those gaskets react with the microwaves and end up getting blown out. And then on top of that, being under vacuum also allows us to pressurize the natural gas vapors coming out right off the machine. So plastic goes in here, we pull a vacuum, and we're able to pull the vacuum through this computer-controlled system here. So this system lets me monitor the pressure, the temperature, the time, as well as turning on and off every part of the machine. There is a physical and manual way to turn off everything, but things can only be turned on through the computer. So we turn on the vacuum, get it down to at least half an atmosphere. And then we turn the microwaves on. And back here, these are magnetrons. These are where the microwaves are generated and come into the machine. So, we turn those on, the plastic starts to break down under the heat, and then we turn on the recovery pump. This is a recovery pump, and this pump allows us to be sucking constantly on the machine. Have a constant suction on the machine, but also it takes that suction of the machine and then puts it out as a high pressure output. So it sucks the natural gas out the machine, keeping the machine under a constant vacuum. Not as strong of a vacuum as a vacuum pump, but it's a constant vacuum, and it shoots out that natural gas at a high pressure through this regulator and filter system, which has dryers in it, filters for the oil and water. Then we have some blue indicating BVB molecular sieves here, and then we also have some activated carbon, activated alumina, activated bentonite, and silica inside of this chamber here to help further process the natural gas vapors. And then down here we have even more silica to help dry it out once again, and some more activated alumina. And these are things to help react with some of the, potentially dirty things that could be in there. And that, from there, that high pressure line will go into any one of these tanks for us to pressurize this. So then we can use that natural gas in our distillery process to further refine the fuels. So, with that being said, the vapor is under constant suction. So as the plastic breaks down, it becomes a vapor. But it's not a plastic vapor. The vapor is essentially a crude oil vapor. And that is because plastic is made of crude oil, right? And this vapor is not the reaction of plastic being burnt, right? This is the reaction of pyrolysis. So the chains that make up the plastic are being broken apart, and those chains end up returning the plastic to its basic chemical building blocks, like crude oil, a petroleum vapor. So that petroleum vapor has energy in it. It has oils in it. It has the natural gas properties in it. So that vapor is then being sucked through here, and it reaches this keg. Now, this is not a condenser. This is literally just a straight line pipe. The idea is we have to get the vapors as quick as possible to the keg to avoid losing any oils. So this pipe gets quite hot as the machine is running, and then it gets to the keg, and the keg acts as a heat sink. So a lot of the oils actually condense on the body of this keg. We can't see that. We can only see the oils that condense from up here, and then after they reach the keg, it's not going to be able to get everything, because especially with this being under vacuum, the vapors are constantly being sucked, but they get sucked up into this big 8-inch by 2-foot condenser. Thank you so much, BVV, for the 8-inch condenser here. Shotgun, baffled at that. An amazing condenser, super high surface area. It goes through here, and then there's actually even more condensers on top of that. So through all of these condensers, all of them are shotgun condensers. The idea is there's so much surface area that even under vacuum and being sucked out constantly, we're going to be able to pull out a lot of the oils and any moisture, and it's all going to trickle down and fall down. And as those vapors condense into oils and moisture, and it trickles down, it's going to react with the vapors that are traveling up and steal more heat from those vapors, and then causing them to condense more and then all fall down. So we can actually see it looks like reflux, just like in a distiller, and we can see as it falls down here into the keg. So after that, the rest of the vapors, some vapors never will become oil again. They're permanent vapors, and those are the natural gas vapors. Those natural gas vapors will come down here to the rest of this, and then they will go through this line here to reach the recovery pump. And after reaching the recovery pump, they will then be compressed into these tanks. And that's how the machine works in a nutshell. There's some more upgrades coming on along the way, primarily to do with the condenser. I want to get a 40-foot condenser coil to increase the surface area even more, and it'll help us collect literally absolutely every bit of oil. But other than that, that's how this machine works.
As always, I gotta thank all my Patreon members. Those of you that want to support, you can find all the links on Naturejab.com/donate, or you can go to Naturejab.com/merch, get some merch. I appreciate you guys. I'm thankful for you guys.
I am about to do the first ever measured and scientific run of my plastic to fuel reactor here. In this bucket, I have HDPE, high density polyethylene. Only HDPE. I'm going to cut this up, put in a weight and measure amount inside the machine. We're going to get the oils out, we're going to refine the oils, and we're going to send those oils off to a lab for analysis. Unfortunately, my plastic shredder is broken, so I'm going to have to cut all of these by hand. I got a long day ahead of me, but it's worth it for science, right?
So we got the HDPE, baby, and we ended up with 2.2 kilograms of the HDPE here, and that comes out to about 4.8 pounds, so just under 5 pounds of HDPE hand cut. And now in this container, I wanted to do a fourth of the amount of plastic to carbon. So like I said, 4.8 pounds, we got 1.2 pounds of carbon, so exactly a fourth of the carbon.
Let's get this plastic loaded in there. Five pounds of HDPE, high density polyethylene. Let's see how this machine can handle it. Go ahead and pull the vacuum. Over half an atmosphere of a vacuum is pulled. Let's get started. 5 minutes in, temperatures we can start to see vapors forming in the sight glass. 10, 12 minutes in, a lot more vapors, and vapors are starting to form and be visible within the condenser.
So you can see the temps there. I do want to remind everybody that microwaves heat through volumetric heating, which is from the inside out.
Magnetron 1 was turned off because the generator was getting overloaded. So now we only have 5 magnetrons on. Temperatures are looking good, still rising in the front and the middle and the back. 18 minutes in, starting to see water droplets forming on this tube. And this tube is starting to get some, noticeable heat going for it. 20 minutes in, and the first tank is already at over 200 psi. It's bogging down the pump quite a bit, because that's not the strong pump. So we're going to actually change the propane tank. An hour, 10 minutes in, look at the temperatures. We start to see some reflux coming on this column. Keg is starting to get warm. We're going to turn the third magnetron off because the middle body temperature is over 200 C. I switched out the recovery pump for my stronger recovery pump. Here are the temperatures, 1 hour 40 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the middle body magnetron, so we'll only have 3 out of 6 magnetrons on. We want to focus all the heat towards the front at this point in the game. We're almost 2 hours in. I've been spinning the blades about every 15 to 20 minutes. So there is reflux now visible. We also have to remember that with every bit of reflux, there's tons of oil coming down this column that we just aren't seeing because there's no sight glass here.
So 2 hours in, you see the temperatures looking good. I do want to remind everybody that since microwaves heat from the inside out, the surface level of the plastic is always probably a few hundred degrees C hotter than the body temperature because that is the conducted temperature from the plastic. Also, my generator was overloaded because I'm using my stronger pump, which is 750 watts more of electricity than my normal recovery pump. I got the blades spinning here, and I'm going to show you guys later. I think I'm actually spinning the blades incorrectly with the machine. Anyways, there was so much natural gas formation, I had to flare it, unfortunately. So this run, we would not be measuring how much natural gas we got out. But this is a scientific run purely for the oil anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But let's take a look at the energy consumption so far. So we are at 5,800 watts constant and 16 kilowatts so far. Taking a look at the temperatures again, you can see that the negative pressure is always rising. That 4-cylinder pump that is pulling 1,500 watts versus a normal 750 does do quite some work on keeping this machine under a pretty decent vacuum. But once again, that does have some disadvantages in the sense of those vapors are moving so quick, it's hard to condense them all in time, and sometimes I don't think I'm even recovering all the oils I can be recovering because it seems like there's a lot of moisture getting to my water filter dryer and even sometimes in the tanks, which is not good. So taking a look at the kilowatts now, we finished the run out at 22 kilowatts. It's time to collect the oil now, but this was a few days later because that run went into the night and it's the winter time, so it's quite cold. So you see the oil's really sludgy, really thick, and there was obviously so much more in the container. Now I cleaned out this container before I did this run. Normally I just do another run, let the heat from the run and the other oils just warm up the oil enough to flow out. But since this is a scientific run, I didn't want to contaminate this oil. I heated it up with a blowtorch, and I know I should have got a heating pad or something. But I did have safety gear on. I was being safe and just taking my time with it, and I wasn't staying on one spot for long, and that ended up doing the trick. So then the oil is then poured into this separatory funnel, and you do see I have my respirator on, guys. Gotta keep the PPE in the game. And guys, I actually have some trouble getting all the oil out, I just took a glove here to help me get it out of this pan. I'm actually going to be moving away from using this pan pretty soon. And what I'm doing here is I'm shoveling around the ground because the pan barely fits under here now, and I want to put a better ball valve. You saw that butterfly valve couldn't open up all the way. And I was doing all this now, but I actually have different plans than even this. I'm going to move away from using these valves altogether. I'm going to use a pump to get the oils out from now on, a little diesel transfer pump. So anyways, I'm doing all this and pretty much for nothing. And in hindsight, yes, I should have completely cleaned the separatory funnel for the least amount of variables. It was pretty clean though, but definitely do that in the future. It's just hard to clean that stuff, to be honest. You know, it's hard to even get a little cleaner in there just because of all the angles. But anyways, we ended up with, you know, quite a bit of this oil, and I got a little bit of water out of the separatory funnel, and I want to share with you guys what I do with this water. I do not dump it out. I keep it in a closed and sealed container until I can do some analysis on the water and also clean it up and get analysis on that. So let's go ahead and open up the machine here, and this is what I was telling you guys earlier when I said I was spinning the blades wrong. Look at the plastic. All the plastic is at the end of the machine, and this plastic is still plastic. It's not completely carbon. So I'm moving the blades too fast, too forward. So by the time, it doesn't have enough time to break down before it reaches the end of the machine. The end is always the coolest. So anyways, let's go ahead and get to distilling. We have a piece of glass here. No, we do. Hulk smash. Break that bloody thing apart, ain't it, mate? So we're gonna break apart this glass. It ain't a bloody bong either. You know what I'm saying? All you little think I'm a crackhead. Like, I'm not a crackhead, alright? Like, I might be smoking in plastic fumes, but I ain't smoking in crack. So anyways, we break this glass apart. It's an old piece of glassware. I had an old dropper, not a bong, and then we pour in these glass balls in this thing to be boiling stones. And boiling stones are simply just going to be a place where nucleation bubbles can form when this thing is boiling, and it hopefully will stop this crude oil from bumping. Spoiler alert, it doesn't, okay? Alright, so we got the still set up. Look at it. It's a nice, beautiful still. A little bit of fog on my friggin' camera. But we're going to go ahead and set this thing to 100C. And the reason why is I'm going to show you this chart here. And this chart shows you that petrol starts to come over between 60 to 100C. And it could be argued that it stops coming over actually around 80C. It really depends on, you know, the different plastic and stuff. But 100C will get us out all the water and all the light fractions without a doubt. So let's go ahead and do it. So the product coming over is just so clean, man. It's so clean. It's beautiful. It's a very, very nice gold color. Gorgeous. And it's amazing to me. It's like, it feels like alchemy or magic. I could take this liquid that's literally blacker than me, and I'm the blackest thing there is on this earth, and it comes over golden, beautiful. That just lets you guys know, you know, when I got burnt, I burnt the black off my black ass. This is the equivalent of doing that. So I just been waiting, you know, I've been letting it, you know, come out. I love doing this setup, by the way, with a little funnel, because it doesn't make you have to rush to switch out flasks every second. Look at that stuff boiling over like that, and spoiler alert, it wasn't so fun in just a few seconds with it almost vomiting like that. So at this point, we've been at 99C, 100C for quite some time. Look at that liquid becoming very aggressive. It's not going to be in my favor, trust me. And I think the thermometer is broken, by the way. So I had a blowout. The distiller had a big bump, and it ended up putting crude oil through all of the pipes. And you see it collected down here. Some even shot out of this barb here, so obviously that's great that this was here, so the pressure didn't build up and cause an explosion. What sucks is
Well, now all my you know, samples are going to be contaminated with this crude oil. So I don't know how I can necessarily clean this up, but we'll try to figure something out so we can limit the contamination.
So you can see I cleaned it up pretty good. Very annoying when that happens, because you kind of have to reset the whole distillery. You don't want to just have this oil boiling with no glassware on it, or else it will start to burn in the open air. And if it already isn't cancerous enough, that certainly is even more cancerous. So I added this little like T here in the hopes of if something wants to happen like that again, it'll be some extra place for pressure to go. And you see I have all these green clips on this stuff, which is fine for the gasoline fraction, but spoiler alert again, the diesel fraction is not gonna do well to these green clips. It gets way too hot and they just don't survive. But anyway, I mean, look at that reflux coming down. It's beautiful. It's amazing, guys. And I have a question for everybody that does distillation. I know I'm doing fractional distillation and there's fractionating columns with packing, but do you even need the packing column to be that tall? Truly. Can you just have it super short and will it be fine? But regardless of the answer to that question, the way I did it, look at this. Oh my goodness, the plastiline, man. It's so... Man, this oil is so clean, man. Diddy would want some. Diddy would want 1,000 bottles of what I made right here. I mean, look at it. It's amazing. It looks just like baby oil, too. I'm not, like, look, I'm not advertising him. I'm not saying I'm on his side. I'm not saying that I'm into that freaky deaky stuff, but I'm just saying it looks so clean. I made it from plastic. Okay, so next, we're trying to get this diesel product to come over, and like I said, it had to get so hot. I put aluminum foil over the whole thing, and that didn't actually do much.
We got this thing very hot. My thermal probe that connects to the steel itself, or the heating mantle, is not working. It says it's 102C. You see I have the temperature set for 365C, and I've slowly risen it up because this is definitely the diesel fraction left in here. But you can see when I read it with the heat gun, we're over 200C on the glass. And it's just now finally starting to rise. I've been sitting here for literally almost, 3 hours there, waiting to just get this to vaporize. You know, if you move the temperature up too quick, you kind of ruin all your work distilling, because then the crude oil just comes over. But we're almost there. You see, I even insulated it with the aluminum foil in the hopes of that helping. But yeah, this is definitely the diesel, for sure. This is not gasoline down here. So I'm going to have to lower this, because the diesel was just not coming all the way up. It just keeps bubbling down. So we're going to lower this still and make it a short path. Alright, so we got a short path for the diesel product because it's so heavy and it takes so much energy to come over. So we finally are starting to see some of the diesel come over. Look at that beautiful color. Temperature is rising quite hot. The still is on fire. It's leaking diesel.
Is it too hot for you? Yeah? Here, try it. You like it? I'm so glad you like
it. Got it under control, baby. So you can see the diesel, but the issue is the diesel actually solidifies once it reaches the condenser. So what happened was it solidified and then it kind of clogged the condenser, and that caused pressure to build up back here, and the pressure popped the glass out the joints, which, because the clips can't be on there at these temperatures, the clips just completely freaking melt. And so when that happened, it started leaking little bits of diesel on the thing. So anyways, I turned the water off to the condenser because, yeah, it's just, you see it's even doing it now. I just cleaned this pipe out too. But hopefully that will allow it to at least get to the flask. I literally just need a little bit of it, man. Like, come on, please. It's like so close but so far, right? Because like it's right there. I only need like 10 mil for the analysis. But man, this has been a freaking trials and tribulations. So at this point, I took the condenser off. Talk about short path distillation. This is like the shortest of short path distillation. Not even a condenser on there. Because like I said, you know, it was cold outside. Not super cold, but you know, it was probably about like, what, 20 C degrees outside. What is that, like 45 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 Fahrenheit. And yeah, the diesel was just solidifying before it could even get out the condenser. And so we had this thing running at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see the vapor temperature coming out, and it's just not that hot. That's why I was saying I think my thermometer is broken. But the diesel's finally coming over, as you see. And you see it just barely is staying liquid even at that, with no condenser. So that was interesting to see. All the past plastic diesels I've made from mixed plastics have never had that problem. But anyways, got the sample. Unfortunately, it's cloudy, but there we go. Here are the 3 samples. We got the crude HDPE, the plastiline or the gasoline from HDPE, and the diesel or the plastic diesel from HDPE. Now the diesel, unfortunately, because of the cold temperatures, it's not winter diesel, so it's waxing pretty bad, which has not been something that I've seen in my past diesels, so that's interesting. But nonetheless, these are the 3 samples. And we're going to send these off to Mass Spec Everything. That you can find him on YouTube or on Instagram, and he would do the analysis of these for us. So you can see we're still getting some drips of the plastic diesel. It's very, very slow. It's a very heavy fraction. In fact, I don't think that this can even reach the temperature needed to get it over, because it's been at 400 degrees C for a long time, and it's not coming over. So clearly when it comes to the diesel, at least for HDPE, you either one, got to do a short path vacuum distillation to get it to come over to lower the boiling point, or 2, you can just do some thermal cracking, basically put it right back inside the machine with plastic, and don't even worry about doing all this distillation crap for it. HDPE is clearly better for the gasoline fraction, but you don't get that much of it. So, you know, but this diesel is just a headache to get, and then it's waxing. It waxes in the condenser. It's just annoying. So I would not recommend using HDPE to get diesel, plastic diesel counterparts.